What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Well, today we get something a little bit different. I've done this before. I've reviewed movies before. I think Avengers Endgame I've renewed. And a couple other ones I've reviewed that were big movies that had some controversy behind them. And this one is no different. This one is Joker. So if you don't want to have any spoilers, you want to see the movie not know, stop the video right now. Because we're going to talk about some things in there. So, again, spoilers coming up. Stop the video because I don't want to hear people bitching about, Jerry, what? I didn't see it. I don't care. Spoilers coming up. So stop the video if you don't want to know what happened in the movie, okay? Done. Now, Joker. Listen, I have never been the biggest Joker fan whatsoever. I'm a huge Batman fan. Obviously, you guys know that I dressed up like Batman for Halloween for like 5 or 6 years in a row for the kids in our neighborhood when we had this big neighborhood Halloween festival thing. And I've always just been a big Batman fan. I like the Dark Knight series better than the original, Michael Keaton and stuff. I've just always been into Batman. I do like the Marvel stuff. I mean, like any guy who was, when you were a kid, you read the comic books and stuff, but Superman, Batman, the ones that kind of stand out. Spider-Man, I love Spider-Man too. I loved seeing Spider-Man Homecoming too. It was awesome too. I even watched Spider-Verse. I actually bought it because a couple people told me it was awesome. And you couldn't rent it at the time. And I was like, well, you can't rent it. Fuck, I just bought it. I was like, screw it. So I bought it and that was awesome too. But this movie was the first movie that I've seen that, Joker I'm talking about now, that really goes into the backstory, like deep into the backstory. And I'll be honest with you, I walked away from that movie this afternoon, Aaron and I went to see it, thinking that this is probably the best comic book movie. Can't say superhero because Joker's not considered a superhero, right? He's a super villain. But the best comic book movie that I've ever seen in my life. The way it was put together, Joaquin Phoenix, I feel, was much better than Heath Ledger. Now, I had my other buddy Brooks, I was going to see it with his wife. Like after we got out, he was heading in down in Maryland. And he was like, really, you think they were better? And I was like, yeah. I didn't tell him why because I was like, you know what, like, I'll talk to him after it's over. But the reason why I think Joaquin was better than Heath Ledger, when he portrayed the Joker, you saw some of Heath Ledger's Joker in him when he was doing like the dancing on the steps and shit. It looks a lot like the type of attitude or feel, like the euphoric kind of insanity that Heath Ledger's Joker, or Heath Ledger portrayed when he played the Joker. But Joaquin Phoenix had to do Joker, but he had to do Arthur Fleck at the same time. So he had to become the Joker's precursor first. He had to become Arthur first and go through the whole backstory, which now we find out that he was adopted. At first, they come out and say he's Thomas Wayne's son. I'm like, wait a minute, that makes him Bruce Wayne's brother. I'm like, holy shit, like that throws a whole new dimension. And as it unfolds, you learn that he's not Thomas Wayne's son. He was adopted. His mother was fucking clinically insane. And she made up a bunch of shit in her head about how Thomas Wayne, because she worked for Thomas Wayne, she was like a housekeeper or something back in the day, and how she basically was in love with Thomas and stuff like that. It was just this weird fucking dynamic that when it starts unraveling at towards, I'd say, the last quarter of the movie, everything starts fitting. It just kind of fits into place and you're like, fuck. So all the twists and turns that they have through it fits together perfectly in the end. And from what I understand, this movie is going to be a one-time standalone movie. Joaquin is not going to play the Joker in any Batman films whatsoever. They're not making another Joker. It was a one-time, one-and-done film about the origins of Joker. And they filmed it in a way so in the end, you weren't sure whether the Joker was a hero or a villain. And I was like, well, that's different. I'm like, why the fuck would that... Joker's always been this crazy villain that... And the way it ends up, it leads up to being the Joker that we all know, right? He turns out to be that Joker that we all know. And he winds up going to Arkham Asylum and stuff. But, in that final scene where there's like the city's burning and shit, that's a Joker we know. So why would he look like a hero, right? If he's always been a supervillain, if he's the Joker we always know, because of the backstory. So there's been some controversy about this movie where people are trying to get it pulled out of the theaters. They're so appalled by the fact that there's violence. I watched it. There was more violence in Rambo movies. There's more violence in fucking stuff I see on MTV. I mean, there's more violence in pro wrestling. I mean, getting hit in the head with the chair over and over again. There's more violence in a lot of things in this movie. But you also are going into this knowing that it's a movie about a villain who kills people. This is back from like 1950 or whatever the Joker was actually created. So you go into this knowing that there's going to be violence. And it's an R rating, which means that there's going to be violence, nudity, language. Like, that. It's an adult movie, right? I think a lot of these people that are trying to get it kicked out of theaters are like younger adults who are fucking losing their minds. And they're like, I can't stand to watch it because of all the stuff that's going on in the world. I'm like, what? You see Fast and Furious? Yeah, I love Fast and Furious movies. Well, guess what? More people have died from Fast and Furious movies than fucking Joker ever. Nobody will ever die by the Joker movie as much as the Fast and Furious. People go out there in their cars, and they've been fucking wrapping cars around poles, fucking blowing them up, fucking crashing into shit, killing people since Fast and Furious came out in 2001. So I'm like, but you don't boycott those movies. You boycott this one because there's shootings that take place out. There's mass shootings. Well, the mass shootings compared to fucking people dying of the car, races and stuff, it's totally fucking uneven. So I'm like, I don't even know, like, if you're that fucked up about the mass shootings and stuff that are out in the world, don't go watch any violent movies. Don't watch Rambo. Don't watch Joker. Go see something that fucking has nothing to do with that. Something totally different that's very calm and not violent. I mean, that's just my take on it. But it's not as violent as people would make it out to be. I think the people that are saying that are super fucking sensitive. And believe me, if it was violent and gory, I'd be like, fuck, it's so violent. It's not violent, it's disturbing. And that's not the same thing as violent. Disturbing because you see where the Joker began, like you find out where his beginnings come from, and a lot of people can identify with that. So, and let me kind of go back. So, people can identify with the fact that the Joker has been beat up and pushed and made fun of and just nonstop has had his balls busted pretty much his whole life, and then finds out that he was adopted. He finds out that when he was a kid, his mother's boyfriend or mother's husband or whatever it was chained him to a radiator and beat him. Like he was getting these serious beatings ever since he was a kid, and then the mother got arrested and put in the asylum. Like, so he's been in a situation where he's, just like many people out there have been abused. And over time that fucking works on him. Now he doesn't remember those things. Like he's blocked them out and he's seeing a therapist and he's on medications. When he comes off the medication, that's when he really fucking loses it. So I can see where people look at that stuff and get offended by it, or not offended, but it draws a parallel with themselves or someone else they know. But that's the thing, is it's true to life. You're seeing something that is kind of replicating what you're seeing in life or mirroring what you see in real life. And if it's not taken care of, the outcome could be somebody like the Joker. So it's kind of almost like a warning, like, hey, mental illness, it's not a fucking joke. You don't take care of this shit, it can be fucking nurtured into becoming something fucking much bigger, like a supervillain, right? But now if you back up even further than that, he was adopted, right? So now he doesn't really know who his real mom is, his real father is. He finds that stuff out later. And through all these beatings that he's taking throughout the years, beatings, and he's getting made fun of, and he's literally getting picked on his whole life. He's getting bullied his whole life. I mean, I don't know how old he is in the movie, but he looks like he's in his 30s in the movie. That means from like birth to now, he's been getting picked on and beaten up the whole fucking time. Now that is something people can wrap their heads around. A lot of people can relate to that, I feel. And that starts to create a feeling that you have for this character, Arthur, that you start to feel bad. Like you start to feel bad because you're like, we've probably known somebody like that in your life, or you've probably been the one like that, or regardless, the shit that he takes over and over again, you're just waiting for him to fucking snap. Because no human can take that much shit consistently that amount of time and not lose their fucking shit and turn out bad. It's impossible. It just doesn't work like that. There's nurture and nature, and nature many times can be undone by nurturing. And by not good nurturing, I mean fucking bad nurturing, to where, if you're getting the shit kicked out of you all the time and you're getting picked on, that shit can flip real hard. So you see this start to develop. And you're like the whole movie up to a certain point, you're just feeling bad for him. You're feeling worse for him. Shit's happening to him. You're like, oh man, you're like fuck. Like you're starting to get like stressed out because you're seeing how bad his life really is and how he just doesn't feel like he matters, which I think a lot of people feel like that and can relate to. He feels like his death should make more sense than his life because his life doesn't make any sense. Like there's a lot of things in the movie that I think a lot of people can relate to. Then there's that pivotal tipping point where he fucking snaps after 3 guys and a trainer fucking beating the shit out of him again, and he pulls out a gun and fucking boom, 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 kills all of them, right? And then he takes off and he's like freaked out, but then all of a sudden he feels this relief because he's been getting shit beat out of him his whole life, and he finally fights back to those fucking assholes that are beating on him, and he fucking killed them. Next thing you know, they consider him a vigilante, and he's all over the news like he's a hero. So there's this part in the movie where the Joker's considered a hero. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, that's pretty much what happens. You bully somebody to a certain point, or it's like backing him into a corner. They got no choice except to come out fucking swinging, right? Or it's like a dog. You can only kick a dog so many times before it turns around and fucking bites you. Like, that's just living, breathing, you can't even say humans or, people. You gotta say animals too, because you can't treat an animal like that and not have it fucking bite you either and attack you. So you see that tipping point, and he starts to feel powerful because now he fought back. He doesn't have to take anybody's shit anymore. And now they're putting him on the news and stuff. Like this vigilante, the masked vigilante, they call him. Like they thought he was wearing a clown mask. It was actually makeup. But he's seeing this movement that he started without even trying to. He just killed these guys, but the whole city's in such distress because of all the corruption and the politics. Like, it's basically going to hell in a handbasket. It's fucking awful the way Gotham is at that point. and you just see that light switch going on. That's like, well, fuck, I killed those 3 guys, and he doesn't go out and seek people to kill. That was the thing, right? We know the Joker is this crazy motherfucker that kills everybody, but that's not really what he does. Not especially not in this movie. What he does is kill the people that were harming him, right? And then he finds out that his mother wasn't his mother. She adopted him, and fucking she's complete schizo, and she fucking has all these issues, and she's basically let him fucking get the shit beat out of him. And she's like, she named him Happy, even though he's fucking miserable all the fucking time. And she's like, well, I didn't know he was getting beaten. I never heard him cry. Like, he was fucking holding the crying in because the dude was fucking beating on him. So she allowed him to, so he fucking suffocates his mother in the hospital, fucking kills her, and then he feels good. And then somebody shows up at his apartment he used to work with, and they're like, you okay? He's like, yeah, actually I feel pretty good. Like, he's happy that he's taking control of his own life and not allowing the people to hurt him anymore that were hurting him. And you get that. Like, you know, as a person who's been abused myself, I get that. Like, I get that. Like, that's exactly how my life was. Like, the reason why I got so big with all the anabolics and stuff, and I fought so much, and I was so aggressive when I was younger, is because of the things that would happen to me when I was younger, that I got to a certain point where I was like, fucking enough. So, like, a lot of people, I think, can relate to that. And then even, you know, in the final scenes when he gets to be on the talk show with Robert De Niro, you know, he's excited. He's happy to be there. He smiles. He's like, hey, Murray. He's like, he's super happy. And then he hears the monologue of Robert De Niro talking about kind of making fun of him. And he realizes, well, he just wants me to come on the show to bust my balls in front of everybody in a live TV. Like, he wants to fuck me over. He's not going to beat me up physically, but he's going to beat me up emotionally and, like, fucking with his words. Like, lyrically, he's going to beat the fuck out of me and make me look like an asshole. He's just like them. So you notice he didn't kill the 2 people sitting next to him on the right. He killed fucking Murray because Murray was the one fucking with him. So now, all said and done, you have this guy who basically is the super villain of the Batman series. He's like the king of the villains as far as the Batman, you know, series goes. But you see this part of him that goes, maybe he's not the villain. To me, I walked away, and I knew they filmed it where he could either be the hero or he could be the villain. When I walked away, I looked at him as neutral, not the villain or the fucking hero. I looked at him as somebody who had enough and fought back, and he was only hurting the ones that were hurting him. He wasn't out there fucking everybody up. Now, I'm assuming the more he goes crazy after he's off those meds and the shit that he does, you know, he goes into that life of crime, right? Life of crime, like stealing shit, robbing banks, doing shit like that. It was still stuff that wasn't really violent towards killing people just in general. It was just stuff that he would do, and if somebody got in his way, he would kill him. So basically, anybody that got in his way or fucked with him, he would kill him. But he wouldn't seek out people to kill. Which I kind of stepped back and I was like, well, that's not really a villain to me. It's a thief, and he does bad shit, and if you cross him, he'll fucking kill you. But, you know, if he's going about his fucking day, he's not walking down the road just shooting people. I was like, well, fuck, you know, to me, that's neutral. Well, that brings on a whole new kind of aspect to Joker for me that I never considered. I didn't really know. I mean, it was one of those things where, you know, Thomas Wayne gets killed in this one, so they do stick to some of the story of the Batman stuff. So you see Thomas Wayne, you see a little child, Bruce Wayne, Bruce's mom, you see Alfred show up, the butler. You hear them talking about Arkham Asylum, you hear them talking about all these different things that are in the Batman series, like Gotham, obviously. And you're kind of, you know, aware of the whole Batman thing is going on over here, but we're just focusing on him over here. You know what I mean? He's kind of in and out of that Batman situation. Like, you forget you're watching a movie about that continues into Batman, and you're so focused on this one character, Joker, until they say something like, oh yeah, Arkham Asylum. You're like, oh yeah, that's right, it's a Batman movie. Like, you kind of forget. So he's not always in makeup and shit. It's just like, to me, honestly, he did a better job than Heath did. Heath Ledger was great as a Joker. I personally was not a big fan of the Jack Nicholson Joker. I thought it was kind of hokey. I know some people thought it was like amazing, but I'm like, it's kind of hokey. You know, to me, it's too comic-y and not dark enough like these graphic novels. I like the graphic novel stuff more. So when Heath Ledger came out with his, it was much darker and more realistic. You know, it wasn't like he was dropped in a vat of stuff and he came out like Jack Nicholson's character and was like, you know, Heath Ledger was cut as a kid and he put the makeup on his face. Jack Nicholson had the makeup permanently on his face, and if you wanted to change it, you have to put like skin colored makeup on. It was just too hokey. So the Heath Ledger thing was more realistic. Now this makes it even more realistic because there's a whole backstory and everything that goes into it, and it makes sense. They filmed the film to make sense. So beginning to end, it just fucking makes sense. And I was like, you know what? Like, I walked out of there and I looked at her and I said, that was probably one of the best movies, like front to back, top to bottom, written wise, acting. Like, you see Joaquin create the Joker, right? Because before, when someone said Joker, I automatically think of Heath Ledger. Now, when they say Joker, honestly, probably because it's the last one I just saw, but I'm thinking Joaquin Phoenix because he becomes the Joker. The Joker becomes him. But you see the transition from Arthur Fleck, who looks like Joaquin, right? He's no makeup on. He's Joaquin. We never saw Heath Ledger without the makeup on. So it was like he was always a Joker. We see the transition of Joaquin Phoenix, who plays Arthur Fleck, transitioning into the Joker, where he finally becomes the Joker, right? And in the very end, like that last scene when he's in the hospital, he's not having the makeup on, but he's still, you're looking at him going, fuck, it's still the Joker. Like in the comic books, you never really see him without the makeup or anything like that. It's always, the Joker makeup is a very pivotal part of that character. But now I feel like Joaquin actually owns that character. I have no doubt, and Aaron said the same thing, that he's going to win tons of fucking awards for this. It was like, Joaquin did these dancing through the whole fucking movie. He thinks he's like Arthur Fleck thinks he's a good dancer, which was, I don't know anything about dancing, so he might be. But he does this dancing, which looks ridiculous in one part of it, and then he kills those guys in the subway, and he fucking winds up in this bathroom in the fucking, wherever it was, and he's doing this new kind of like interpretive dance, and I was like, holy fuck. It was really cool. But then, as he becomes the full Joker, he's dancing down these steps and stuff, right? That scene after he kills his friend with the fucking scissors, and he's dancing, now he doesn't have the same dance as he did when he was Arthur Fleck. It's like different. You can see him becoming more like animated and glitchy. He's becoming more like sporadic, which is like Heath Ledger's character as the Joker. So you're seeing him go from Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix, into the Joker, and there's little pieces of Heath Ledger's Joker in there, but he's bringing out more in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, Heath Ledger's was very witty, was very funny. Joaquin, I feel like, is just very dark. He's angry, he's hurt, he's pissed, he's dark, he's fucking not evil, he's had enough of being abused, right? And that all comes through with that. So, to me, at 1 out of 10 stars, 10 being the most, I give it 10,000 stars. To be totally honest with you, I thought it was great. I'm definitely going to go see it again. I don't see any reason why they would pull it out for any violence. There's no more violence in that movie than fucking anything else out there at this time. So it was one of those things where, beginning to end, it was like, you know what I mean? And there were times like fucking, and I'd look over at Erin and be like, fuck, like this, putting her head in her hands, and I'm like fucking covering my mouth, I'm like, holy fuck. Like there were times that we really are on the edge of your seat watching things, going, what's going to happen now? Because you actually put yourself in that position and be like, oh man, here we go, he's going to fucking snap, because I would snap in that fucking predicament. Like you actually start, the film helps you feel back and forth. It gives you an emotional kind of roller coaster through it where you do feel it. And this is a movie that I honestly, you guys just overshare with you guys right now. I gotta pee in every movie. I mean, I drink so much fucking water. I'm peeing like if I go a half hour without peeing, it's like amazing, right? I was there for 2.5 hours and I didn't have to pee. Well, I had to pee, but I didn't pee. I just sat there in the fucking chair no matter how bad I had to pee, because I was like, I don't want to miss any of this. Like each piece was pivotal to me in knowing the story of what was going on. I don't want to miss any of it. So if you guys want to go see The Joker, man, 2 thumbs up all the way, hands down. Everybody I've talked to, my friends have seen it before, fucking 2 thumbs up. If there were 30 of us, we'd have fucking 60 thumbs up, because it hands down is something that's been really lacking with a lot of substance. And it wasn't necessarily like special effects. It wasn't CGI shit. Like there's a lot of CGI shit out there. Like all of the Marvel movies and the DC movies, everything is fucking CGI. This was, don't get me wrong, there was CGI in it, but it wasn't so over the top where it wasn't believable. It took place in the 80s, and they really did bring everything back. The cars, the clothing, fucking all of that stuff, the way the talk show was, the furniture, everything, they brought it back to the 80s like that, and they made it very realistic. I grew up in the 80s. So that everything looked, it was just on point. I think that everything from the Joker suit to the makeup to why, like he had a job as a client, and he's got that laugh. That laugh is something that, it's a piece, the laugh is, the disease that he has is almost like a character in itself, because it's something he can't control, and you don't find out until later, because it said that, he has this card that he hands people when he starts laughing out of control, and it hurts. You can see him like hold himself, because it's uncontrollable laughter that just kicks in when he's stressed. It's like a response to stress for him. It's a way of him releasing the stress. Some people cry, some people throw up. He laughs. And that came from a blunt trauma to the head. Like it says brain damage or damage to the brain or head trauma, like on this card that he gives people. When he starts laughing, they're like, what's wrong with you? He hands him this card because he can't talk. And it says, da-da-da, I have this disease, this condition, blah, 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 blah. And it flips it over and it has more, and it says, please return this card. And they give it back to him, and he just fucking laughs like crazy. But now you're like, it's a real disease. Like, Joaquin actually studied that and met people with it and stuff. And you're like, that crazy, insane laugh that the Joker has when he's under stress, like, that's before he kills somebody. He's so fucking stressed out. He has that fucking laugh. He's like, ha ha, he goes fucking crazy because he's so stressed out because something's happening to him that he can't control it. And I'm like, okay, that's another real part. So I feel like, just like the Dark Knight series, I felt like it was more realistic than the other Batmans, because they showed Batman how he get the Batmobile. It was a tumbler. It wasn't a Batmobile. It was a fucking tank that they had for the military. They showed him get the bat suit. He had the spelunking vest, right? And they had like the earpieces and stuff made for the Batman mask and stuff. They had it made in China. They had to order 5,000 of them because they don't want to get any suspicions as to why they needed these little fucking pieces. And like everything was like realistic. It was like if Batman really existed, That is how it would have been in The Dark Knight. Like, you know, even Bane wasn't this guy where they pushed the fucking thing on his arm and he grew twice the size. It wasn't like that. He was just super strong, super fast. Like, everything seems more realistic with that type of movie. And this was like that. It wasn't hokey. It wasn't cartoony. It was very realistic. You can see from front to back, beginning to end, that this could actually happen out there. Like, there's no doubt in my mind there are people out there right now that this is fucking happening piece by piece to them until they wind up fucking in the insane asylum. Happens fucking every day. And this is a very good depiction of what mental illness is like, living with it, what it could turn into if it was nurtured the right way, or the wrong, we should say the wrong way, it could turn into the fucking Joker or something like that. It, you know, shows what could be maintained if you have a doctor and your prescriptions and stuff like that. It shows every aspect of mental health, but I think it's just so realistic that people are freaking the fuck out. It's not so over the top where you know, like, oh, it's imaginary, it's fantasy. No, this could be, like, this could have been a documentary about somebody, the way they set it up and they filmed it and they went through everything and they did everything real to kind of real life, like true to life, that really made this character believable. And you actually feel for it. Like, you get emotional during the movie watching this stuff. Not like you're going to sit there and cry, but you feel bad. Like, you actually start feeling for that character. And when it's all said and done, you know, I did leave going, fuck, was he a hero or was he fucking, because he started all this shit because everybody was fucking with him and he fought back. Like, he had enough and fucking couldn't take it anymore and fought back. And he was only going after fucking bad people, period. Batman does the same thing. He fights back, goes after bad people. Batman doesn't kill anybody, but Joker does. But the bottom line, it was almost like he was paralleling Batman at the same time with his mental health backstory. You know, and it was just like, again, top to bottom, guys, great movie. So if you guys are going to go see Joker, or if you've already seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. Chime in below. Let me know what you guys think if you already saw it. If you didn't see it already, hopefully you didn't watch this not wanting some spoilers, because you get all the fucking spoilers now. But if you don't care about spoilers, when you go to see it, everything I'm talking about now, you'll see. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So go see Joker, guys. It's not a dangerous movie. It's not something that's going to fucking make you flip a switch in your head and you're going to lose your fucking mind or anything like that. But it will answer a lot of things about the Joker character, and it's just a fun time, top to bottom. I keep saying top to bottom, front to back. It's just a good time, start to finish. And it's literally going to be, I think it's going to be one of the best comic book movies ever in the history of movie theater. BiosTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BiosTraining.com's blog. It's the Joker Bicep, and we are out.